Hello, everybody. This is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë, Volume 2, Chapter 37. The manor house of Ferndean was a building of considerable antiquity, moderate size, and no architectural pretensions, deep buried in a wood. I had heard of it before. Mr. Rochester often spoke of it, and sometimes went there. His father had purchased the estate for the sake of the game covers. He would have let the house, but could find no tenant, in consequence of its ineligible and insalubrious site. Ferndean then remained uninhabited and unfurnished, with the exception of some 2 or 3 rooms fitted up for the accommodation of the squire when he went there in the season to shoot. To this house I came, just ere dark, on an evening marked by the characteristics of sad sky, cold gale, and continued small penetrating rain. The last mile I performed on foot, having dismissed the chaise and driver with the double remuneration I had promised. Even when within a very short distance of the manor house, you could see nothing of it, so thick and dark grew the timber of the gloomy wood about it. Iron gates between granite pillars showed me where to enter, and passing through them I found myself at once in the twilight of close-ranked trees. There was a grass-grown track descending the forest aisle, between hoar and knotty shafts and under branched arches. I followed it, expecting soon to reach the dwelling, but it stretched on, and wound far and farther. No sign of habitation or grounds was visible. I thought I had taken a wrong direction and lost my way. The darkness of natural as well as sylvan dusk gathered over me. I looked around in search of another road. There was none. All was interwoven stem, columnar trunk, dense summer foliage, no opening anywhere. And I proceeded. At last my way opened, the trees thinned a little. Presently I beheld a railing, then the house, scarce by this dim light, distinguishable from the trees, so dank and green were its decaying walls. Entering a portal fastened only by a latch, I stood amidst a space of enclosed ground, from which the wood swept away in a semicircle. There were no flowers, no garden beds, only a broad gravel walk girdling a grass plat, and this set in the heavy frame of the forest. The house presented 2 pointed gables in its front. The windows were latticed and narrow. The front door was narrow, too. 1 step led up to it. The whole looked, as the host of the Rochester's Arms had said, quite a desolate spot. It was still as a church on a weekday. The pattering rain of the forest leaves was the only sound audible in its vicinage. "Can there be life here?" I asked. Yes, life of some kind there was, for I heard a movement. That narrow front door was unclosing, and some shape was about to issue from the grange. It opened slowly. A figure came out into the twilight and stood on the step, a man without a hat. He stretched forth his hand as if to feel whether it rained. Dusk as it was, I had recognized him. It was my master, Edward Fairfax Rochester, no other. I stayed my step, almost my breath, and stood to watch him, to examine him, myself unseen, and alas, to him, invisible. It was a sudden meeting, and one in which rapture was kept well in check by pain. I had no difficulty in restraining my voice from exclamation, my step from hasty advance. His form was the same strong and stalwart contour as ever. His port was still erect, his hair was still raven black, nor were his features altered or sunk, not in 1 year's space, by any sorrow. Could his athletic strength be quelled, or his vigorous prime blighted? But in his countenance I saw a change, that looked desperate and brooding, that reminded me of some wronged and fettered wild beast or bird, dangerous to approach in his sullen woe. The caged eagle, whose gold-ringed eyes cruelty has extinguished, might look as he looked, that sightless Samson. And, reader, do you think I feared him in his blind ferocity? If you do, you little know me. A soft hope blent with my sorrow as soon as I should dare to drop a kiss on that brow of rock, and on those lips so sternly sealed beneath it, but not yet. It would not accost him yet. He descended the 1 stair and advanced slowly and gropingly towards the grass plat. Where was his daring stride now? Then he paused, as if he knew not which way to turn. He lifted his hand and opened his eyelids, gazed blank and with a straining effort on the sky, and towards the amphitheater of trees. One saw that all to him was void darkness. He stretched his right hand. The left arm, the mutilated one, he kept hidden in his bosom. He seemed to wish to gain an idea of what lay around him, he met but vacancy still, for the trees were some yards off where he stood. He relinquished the endeavor, folded his arms, and stood quiet and mute in the rain, now falling fast on his uncovered head. At this moment John approached him from some quarter. "Will you take my arm, sir? There's a heavy shower coming on. Had you not better go in?" "Oh, let me alone," was the answer. John withdrew, without having observed me. Mr. Rochester now tried to walk about. Oh, vainly. All was too uncertain. He groped his way back to the house, and re-entering it, closed the door. I now drew near and knocked. John's wife opened for me. "Mary," I said, "how are you?" She started as if she had seen a ghost. I calmed her. To her hurried, "Is it really you, miss, come at this late hour to this only place?" I answered by taking her hand, and then I followed her into the kitchen, where John now sat by a good fire. I explained to them in a few words that I had heard all that had happened since I left Thornfield, and that I was come to see Mr. Rochester. I asked John to go down to the turnpike house, where I had dismissed the chaise, and bring my trunk, which I had left there, and then, while I removed my bonnet and shawl, I questioned Mary as to whether I could be accommodated at the manor house for the night, and finding that arrangements to that effect, though difficult, would not be impossible, I informed her I should stay. Just at this moment the parlor bell rang. "When you go in, tell your master that a person wishes to speak to him, but do not give my name." "I don't think he'll see you," she answered. "He refuses everybody." When she returned, I inquired what he had said. "You are to send in your name and your business," she replied. She then proceeded to fill a glass of water and place it on a tray together with candles. "Is that what he rang for?" I asked. "Yes, he always has the candles brought in at dark, though he's blind. Give the tray to me. I will carry it in." I took it from her hand. She pointed me to the parlor door. The tray shook as I held it. The water spilt from the glass. My heart struck my ribs loud and fast. Mary had opened the door for me and shut it behind me. The parlor looked gloomy. A neglected handful of fire burnt low in the grate, and leaning over it with his head supported against the high, old-fashioned mantelpiece, appeared the blind tenant of the room. His old dog Pilot lay on one side, removed out of the way and coiled up as if afraid of being inadvertently trotted upon. Pilot pricked up his ears when I came in. Then he jumped up with a yelp and a whine and bounded towards me. He almost knocked the tray from my hands. I set it on the table, then patted him and said softly, "Lie down." Mr. Rochester turned mechanically to see what the commotion was, but he saw nothing. He returned and sighed. "Give me the water, Mary," he said. I approached him with the now only half-filled glass. Pilot followed me, still excited. "What's the matter?" he inquired. "Down, Pilot," I said again. He checked the water on its way to his lips. He seemed to listen. He drank and put the glass down. "This is you, Mary, is it not?" "Mary's in the kitchen," I answered. He put out his hand with a quick gesture, but not seeing where I stood, he did not touch me. "Who is this? Who is this?" he demanded, trying, as it seemed, to see with those silent eyes. Unavailing and distressing attempt. "Answer me! Speak again!" he ordered, imperiously and aloud. "Will you have a little more water, sir? I spilled half of what was in the glass," I said. "Who is it? What is it? Who speaks?" "Pilot knows me, and John and Mary know I'm here. I came only this evening," I answered. Great God! What delusions come over me? What sweet madness has seized me? Oh, no delusion, no madness. Your mind, sir, is too strong for delusion, your health too sound for frenzy. And where is the speaker? Is it only a voice? Oh, I cannot see, but I must feel, or my heart will stop and my brain burst. Whatever, whoever you are, be perceptible to the touch, or I cannot live. He groped. I arrested his wandering hand and prisoned it in both of mine. Her very fingers, he cried. Her small, slight fingers. If so, there must be more of her. The muscular hand broke from my custody. My arm was seized, my shoulder, neck, waist. I was entwined and gathered to him. Is it Jane? What is it? This is her shape, this is her size, and this is her voice, I added. She's all here, her heart too. God bless you, sir. I'm glad to be so near you again. Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre was all she said. My dear master, I answered, I am Jane Eyre. I found you out. I've come back to you. In truth? In the flesh? My living Jane? You touch me, sir, you hold me, and fast enough. I'm not cold like a corpse, nor vacant like air, am I? My living darling. You're certainly her limbs, and these her features, but I cannot be so blessed after all my misery. It's a dream, such dreams as I have at night when I have clasped her once more to my heart as I do now, and kissed her, and thus, and felt she loved me, and trusted that she would not leave me, which I never will, sir, from this day. Never will, says the vision. But I always woke and found it an empty mockery, and I was desolate and abandoned, my life dark, lonely, and hopeless, my soul athirst and forbidden to drink, my heart famished and never to be fed. Gentle, soft dream, nestling in my arms now, you'll fly, too, as your sisters have all fled before you, but kiss me before you go. Embrace me, Jane. There, sir, and there. I pressed my lips to his once brilliant and now rayless eyes. I swept his hair from his brow and kissed that too. He suddenly seemed to rouse himself. The conviction of the reality of all this seized him. It is you, is it, Jane? Are you come back to me, then? I am. You're not lie dead in some ditch under some stream, and you're not some pining outcast among strangers. No, sir, I'm an independent woman now. Independent? What do you mean, Jane? My uncle in Madeira is dead. He left me £5,000. Ah, this is practical. This is real, he cried. I should never dream that. Besides, there's that peculiar voice of hers, so animating and piquant, as well as soft. It cheers my withered heart. It puts life into it. What, Janet, are you an independent woman? A rich woman? Quite rich, sir. If you won't let me live with you, I can build a house of my own close up to your door, and you may come and sit in my parlor when you want any company of the evening. But as you're rich, Jane, you have now, no doubt, friends who will look after you and not suffer you to devote yourself to a blind lamenter like me. I told you I'm independent, sir, as well as rich. I'm my own mistress. And you'll still stay with me? Certainly, unless you object. I'll be your neighbor, your nurse, your housekeeper. I find you lonely. I'll be your companion, to read to you, to walk with you, to sit with you, to wait on you, to be eyes and hands to you. Oh, cease to look so melancholy, my dear master. You shall not be left desolate so long as I live. He replied not. He seemed serious, abstracted. He sighed. He half opened his lips as if to speak. He closed them again. I felt a little embarrassed. Perhaps I had too rashly overleaped conventionalities, and he, like St. John, saw impropriety in my inconsiderateness. I had indeed made my proposal from the idea that he wished and would ask me to be his wife. An expectation not the less certain, because unexpressed had buoyed me up that he would claim me at once as his own, but no hint to that effect escaping him, and his countenance becoming more overcast. I suddenly remembered that I might have been all wrong, and was perhaps playing the fool unwittingly, and I began gently to withdraw myself from his arms, but he eagerly snatched me closer. No, no, Jane, you must not go. No. I've touched you, heard you, felt the comfort of your presence, the sweetness of your consolation. I cannot give up these joys. I have little left in myself. I must have you. The world may laugh, may call me absurd and selfish, but it doesn't signify. My very soul demands you. It will be satisfied, or it will take deadly vengeance on its frame. Well, sir, I'll stay with you. I've said so. Yes, but you understand one thing by staying with me, and I understand another. You, perhaps, could make up your mind to be about my hand and chair, to wait on me as a kind little nurse, for you have an affectionate heart and a generous spirit which prompt you to make sacrifices for those you pity, and that ought to suffice for me, no doubt. I suppose I should now entertain none but fatherly feelings for you. Do you think so? Come, tell me. I will think what you like, sir, but I'm content to be only your nurse if you think it better. But you cannot always be my nurse, Janet. You're young. You must marry one day. Oh, I don't care about being married. Well, you should care, Janet. If I were what I once was, I would try to make you care, but, sightless block. He relapsed into gloom. I, on the contrary, became more cheerful and took fresh courage. These last words gave me an insight as to where the difficulty lay, and as it was no difficulty with me, I felt quite relieved from my previous embarrassment. I resumed a livelier vein of conversation. It is time someone undertook to rehumanize you, said I, parting his thick and long uncut locks. for I see you're being metamorphosed into a lion, or something of that sort. You have a faux air of Nebuchadnezzar in the fields about you, that's certain. Your hair reminds me of eagle's feathers. Whether your nails are grown like bird's claws or not, I've not yet noticed. On this arm I have neither hand nor nails, he said, drawing the mutilated limb from his breast and showing it to me. It's a mere stump. A ghastly sight. Don't you think so, Jane? It's a pity to see it, and a pity to see your eyes, and the scar of fire on your forehead. And the worst of it is, one is in danger of loving you too well for all this, and making too much of you. I thought you would be revolted, Jane, when you saw my arm and my cicatrized visage. Did you? Don't tell me so, lest I should say something disparaging to your judgment. Now let me leave you an instant to make a better fire and have the hearth swept up. Can you tell when there's a good fire? Yes, with the right eye I see a glow, a ruddy haze. And you see the candles? Very dimly, each a luminous cloud. Can you see me? No, my fairy, but I'm only too thankful to hear and feel you. When do you take your supper? I never take supper. But you shall have some tonight. I am hungry, and so are you, I dare say, only you forget. Summoning Mary, I soon had the room in more cheerful order. I prepared him likewise a comfortable repast. My spirits were excited, and with pleasure and ease I talked to him during supper and for a long time after. There was no harassing restraint, no repressing of glee and vivacity with him, for with him I was at perfect ease, because I knew I suited him. All I said or did seemed either to console or revive him. Delightful consciousness! I brought to life and light my whole nature. In his presence I thoroughly lived, and he lived in mine. Blind as he was, smiles played over his face. Joy dawned on his forehead, his lineaments softened and warmed. After supper he began to ask me many questions of where I'd been and what I had been doing, how I'd found him out, but I gave him only very partial replies. It was too late to enter into particulars that night. Besides, I wished to touch no deep thrilling chord, to open no fresh well of emotion in his heart. My sole present aim was to cheer him. Cheered, as I have said, he was, and yet but by fits. If a moment's silence broke the conversation, he would turn restless, touch me, and say, Jane. You are altogether a human being, Jane. You're certain of that? Well, I conscientiously believe so, Mr. Rochester. Yet how, on this dark, doleful evening, could you so suddenly rise on my lone hearth? I stretched my hand to take a glass of water from a hireling, and it was given me by you. I asked a question, expecting John's wife to answer me, and your voice spoke at my ear. Because I'd come in Mary's stead with a tray. And there's enchantment in the very hour I'm now spending with you. Who can tell what a dark, dreary, hopeless life I have dragged on for months past, doing nothing, expecting nothing, merging day and night, feeling but the sensation of cold when I let the fire go out, of hunger when I forgot to eat, and then a ceaseless sorrow and at times a very delirium of desire to behold my Jane again. Yes, for her restoration I longed far more than for that of my lost sight. How can it be that Jane is with me when she says she loves me? Will she not depart as suddenly as she came? Tomorrow I fear I shall find her no more. A commonplace, practical reply, out of the train of his own disturbed idea, was, I sure, the best and most reassuring for him in his frame of mind. I passed my finger over his eyebrows, and remarked that they were scorched, and I would apply something which should make them grow as broad and black as ever. Where's the use of doing me good in any way, beneficent spirit, when at some fatal moment you will again desert me, passing like a shadow, whither and how to me unknown, and for me remaining afterwards undiscoverable? Have you a pocket-comb about you, sir? What for, Jane? Just to comb out this shaggy black mane. I find you rather alarming. When I examine you close at hand, you talk of my being a fairy, but I'm sure you're more like a brownie. Am I hideous, Jane? Oh, very, sir. You always were, you know. The wickedness has not been taken out of you, wherever you sojourned. Yet I've been with good people, far better than you, 100 times better people, possessed of ideas and views you never entertained in your life, quite more refined and exalted. Who the deuce have you been with? If you twist in that way, you'll make me pull the hair out of your head, and I think you will cease to entertain doubts of my substantiality. Who have you been with, Jane? You shall not get it out of me tonight, sir. You must wait until tomorrow. To leave my tale half told will, you know, be a sort of security that I shall appear at your breakfast table to finish it. By the by, I must mind not to rise on your hearth with only a glass of water then. I must bring an egg at least, to say nothing of fried ham. You mocking changeling, fairy born and human bred, you make me feel as I have not felt these 12 months. If Saul could have had you for his David, the evil spirit would have been exorcised without the aid of the harp. There, sir, you're all redd up and made decent. Now I'll leave you. I've been traveling these last 3 days, and I believe I'm tired. Good night. Just one word, Jane. Were there only ladies in the house where you've been? I laughed and made my escape, still laughing as I ran upstairs. A good idea, I thought with glee. I see I have some means of fretting him out of his melancholy for some time to come. Very early next morning I heard him up and astir, wandering from room to another. As soon as Mary came down I heard the question, "Is Miss Eyre here? Then which room did you put her into? Was it dry? Is she up? Go and ask if she wants anything, and when she'll come down." I came down as soon as I thought there was a prospect of breakfast. Entering the room very softly, I had a view of him before he discovered my presence. It was mournful indeed to witness the subjugation of the vigorous spirit to a corporal infirmity. He sat in his chair, still but not at rest, expectant evidently, the lines of now habitual sadness marking his strong features. His countenance reminded one of a lamp quenched, waiting to be relit, and, alas, it was not himself that could now kindle the luster of animated expression. He was dependent on another for that office. I had meant to be gay and careless, but the powerlessness of the strong man touched my heart to the quick. Still I accosted him with what vivacity I could. "It's a bright sunny morning, sir," I said. "The rain's over and gone, and there's a tender shining after it. You shall have a walk soon." I had wakened the glow. His features beamed. "Oh, you're indeed there, my skylark. Come to me. You're not gone, not vanished. I heard one of your kind an hour ago, singing high up over the wood, but its song had no music to me, and more than the rising sun had rays. All the melody on earth is concentrated in my Jane's tongue to my ear. I'm glad it's not naturally a silent one. All the sunshine I can feel is in her presence." The water stood in my eyes to hear this avowal of his dependence, just as if a royal eagle, chained to a perch, should be forced to entreat a sparrow to become its purveyor. But I wouldn't be lachrymose. I dashed off the salt drops and busied myself with preparing breakfast. Most of the morning was spent in the air. I led him out of the wet and wild wood into some cheerful fields. I described to him how brilliantly green they were, how the flowers and hedges looked refreshed, how sparkling blue was the sky. I sought a seat for him in a hidden and lovely spot, the dry stump of tree, nor did I refuse to let him, when seated, place me on his knee. Why should I, when both he and I were happier near than apart? Pilate lay beside us. All was quiet. He broke out suddenly while clasping me in his arms. "Cruel, cruel deserter! Oh, Jane, what did I feel when I discovered you fled from Thornfield, and when I could nowhere find you, and after examining your apartment ascertained that you had taken no money, nor anything which could serve as an equivalent. A pearl necklace I had given you lay untouched in its little casket. Your trunks were left corded and locked as they had been prepared for the bridal tour. What could my darling do, I asked, left destitute and penniless? And what did she do? Oh, let me hear now." Thus urged, I began the narrative of my experience of the last year. I softened considerably what related to the 3 days of wandering and starvation, because to have told him all would have been to inflict unnecessary pain. The little I did say lacerated his faithful heart deeper than I wished. "I should have left him thus," he said. "I should not have left him thus," he said, "without any means of making my way. I should have told him my intention. I should have confided in him. He would never have forced me to be his mistress. Violent as he had seemed in his despair, he, in truth, loved me far too well and too tenderly to constitute himself my tyrant. He would have given me half his fortune without demanding so much as a kiss in return, rather than I should have flung myself friendless on the wide world. I had endured, he was certain, more than I had confessed to him. Well, whatever my sufferings had been, they were very short, I answered, and then I proceeded to tell him how I had been received at Moor House, how I had obtained the office of schoolmistress, etc. The accession of fortune, the discovery of my relations followed in due order. Of course, St. John River's name came in frequently in the progress of my tale. When I had done, that name was immediately taken up. "This St. John, then, is your cousin?" "Yes." You've spoken of him often. Did you like him? He was a very good man, sir. I couldn't help liking him. A good man? Does this mean a respectable, well-conducted man of 50? What does it mean? St. John was only 29, sir. Jean l'encore, as the French say. Is he a person of low stature, phlegmatic and plain, a person whose goodness consists rather in his guiltlessness of vice than his prowess in virtue? Oh, he's untiringly attractive. Great and exalted deeds are what he lives to perform. But his brain, that's probably rather soft. He means well, but you shrug your shoulders to hear him talk. He talks little, sir. What he does say is ever to the point. His brain is first rate, I should think, not impressible, but vigorous. Was he an able man, then? Truly able. A thoroughly educated man? St. John is an accomplished and profound scholar. His manners, I think, you said, are not to your taste, priggish and prosonic. I never mentioned his manners, but unless I had a very bad taste, they must suit it. They're polished, calm, and gentlemanlike. Oh, his appearance. I forget what description you gave of his appearance. A sort of raw curate, half strangled with his white neckcloth and stilted up on his thick-soled high-lows, eh? St. John dresses well. He's a handsome man, tall, fair, with blue eyes and a Grecian profile. Aside, damn him, to me. Did you like him, Jane? Yes, Mr. Rochester, I liked him, but you asked me that before. I perceived, of course, the drift of my interlocutor. And jealousy had got a hold of him. She stung him, but the sting was salutary. It gave him respite from the gnawing fang of melancholy. It would not, therefore, immediately charm the snake. Perhaps you'd rather not sit any longer on my knee, Miss Eyre, was the next somewhat unexpected observation. Oh, why not, Mr. Rochester? The picture you've just drawn is suggestive of a rather too overwhelming contrast. Your words have delineated very prettily a graceful Apollo. He's present to your imagination, tall, fair, blue-eyed, with a Grecian profile. Your eyes dwell on the Vulcan. A real blacksmith, brown, broad-shouldered, and blind and lame into the bargain. I never thought of it before, but you certainly are rather like Vulcan, sir. Well, you can leave me, ma'am, but before you go, he retained me by firmer grasp than ever. You'll be pleased just to answer me a question or two. He paused. What questions, Mr. Rochester? Then followed this cross-examination. St. John made you schoolmistress of Morton before he knew you were his cousin? Yes. You would often see him? He'd visit the school sometimes? Daily. You would approve of your plans, Jane? I knew they would be clever, for you are a talented creature. Well, he approved of them, yes. He would discover many things in you he could not have expected to find. Some of your accomplishments are not ordinary. Oh, I don't know about that. You had a little cottage near the school, you say. Did he ever come there to see you? Now and then. Of an evening? Well, once or twice. A pause. How long did you reside with him and his sisters after the cousinship was discovered? 5 months. Did Rivers spend much time with the ladies of his family? Yes, the back parlor was both his study and ours. We sat near the window, and we by the table. Did he study much? Oh, a good deal. What? Hindustani? And what did you do meantime? I learned German at first. Did he teach you? He didn't understand German. Did he teach you nothing? Oh, a little Hindustani. Rivers taught you Hindustani? Yes, sir. And his sisters also? No. Only you? Only me. Did you ask to learn? No. He wished to teach you? Yes. A second pause. Why did he wish it? Of what use could Hindustani be to you? Oh, he intended me to go with him to India. Here I reached the root of the matter. He wanted you to marry him. He asked me to marry him. That's a fiction, an impudent invention to vex me. I beg your pardon, it is the literal truth. He asked me more than once, and was as stiff about urging his point as ever you could be. Miss Eyre, I repeat it, you can leave me. How often am I to say the same thing? Why do you remain pertinaciously perched on my knee when I've given you notice to quit? 'Cause I'm comfortable here. No, Jane, you're not comfortable here, because your heart is not with me. It's with this cousin, this St. John. Oh, till this moment I thought my little Jane was all mine. I believed she loved me, even when she left me. That was an atom of sweet and much bitter. Long as we have been parted, hot tears as I have wept over our separation, I never thought that while I was mourning her, she was loving another. But it's useless grieving. Jane, leave me. Go and marry Rivers. Well, shake me off then, sir. Push me away, for I'll not leave you of my own accord. Jane, I ever like the tone of your voice. It still renews hope. It sounds so truthful. When I hear it, it carries me back a year. I forget that you formed a new tie. But I'm not a fool. Go. Where must I go, sir? Your own way, with this husband you've chosen. Who's that? Oh, you know, the St. John Rivers. He's not my husband, nor will he ever be. He does not love me, and I do not love him. He loves, as he can love, and that's not as you love, a beautiful young lady called Rosamond. He wanted to marry me only because he thought I should make a suitable missionary's wife, which she would not have done. He is good and great, but severe, and for me, cold as an iceberg. He's not like you, sir. I'm not happy at his side, nor near him, nor with him. He's no indulgence for me, no fondness. He sees nothing attractive in me, not even youth, only a few useful mental points. Then I must leave you, sir, to go to him. Oh, I shuddered involuntarily, and clung instinctively closer to my blind but beloved master. He smiled. Oh, Jane, is it true? Is such really the state of matters between you and Rivers? Absolutely, sir. Oh, you need not be jealous. I wanted to tease you a little, to make you less sad. I thought anger would be better than grief, but if you wish me to love you, could you but see how much I do love you, you would be proud and content. All my heart is yours, sir. It belongs to you, and with you it would remain, were fate to exile the rest of me from your presence forever. Oh, again he kissed me. Painful thoughts darkened his aspect. My seared vision, my crippled strength, he murmured regretfully. I caressed in order to soothe him. I knew of what he was thinking and wanted to speak for him, but dared not. As he turned aside his face a minute, I saw a tear slide from under his sealed eyelid and trickle down the manly cheek. My heart swelled. I'm no better than the old lightning-struck chestnut tree in Thornfield Orchard, he remarked ere long. And what right would that ruin have to bid a budding woodbine cover its decay with freshness? You're no ruin, sir, no lightning-struck tree. You're green and vigorous. Plants will grow about your roots, whether you ask them to or not, because they take delight in your bountiful shadow. And as they grow, they will lean towards you and wind round you, because your strength offers them so safe a prop. Again he smiled, and gave him comfort. You speak of friends, Jane, he asked. Yes, of friends, I answered rather hesitatingly, for I knew I meant more than friends, but could not tell what other words to employ. He helped me. Ah, but Jane, I want a wife. Oh, do you, sir? Yes, is that news to you? Of course, you said nothing of it before. Is it unwelcome news? That depends on circumstances, sir, on your choice, which you shall make for me, Jane. I will abide by your decision. Choose, then, sir, her who loves you best. I will at least choose her I love best. Jane, will you marry me? Yes, sir. A poor blind man whom you will have to lead about by the hand? Yes, sir. A crippled man, 20 years older than you, whom you will have to wait on? Yes, sir. Truly, Jane? Most truly, sir. Oh, my darling, God bless you and reward you. Mr. Rochester, if ever I did a good deed in my life, if ever I thought a good deed, if ever I prayed a sincere and blameless prayer, if ever I wished a righteous wish, I am rewarded now. To be your wife is for me to be as happy as I can be on earth, because you delight in sacrifice. Sacrifice? What do I sacrifice? Famine for food? Expectation for content? To be privileged to put my arms round what I value? To press my lips to what I love? To repose on what I trust? Is that to make a sacrifice? Oh, if so, then certainly I delight in sacrifice. And to bear with my infirmities, Jane, to overlook my deficiencies, which are none, sir, to me. I love you better now when I can really be useful to you than I did in your state of proud independence, when you disdained every part of that of the giver and protector. Hitherto I have hated to be helped, to be led. Henceforth I feel I shall hate it no more. I did not like to put my hand into a hireling's, but it is pleasant to feel it circled by Jane's little fingers. I preferred utter loneliness to the constant attendance of servants, but Jane's soft ministry will be a perpetual joy. Jane suits me. Do I suit her? To the finest fibre of my nature, sir. The case being so, we have nothing in the world to wait for. We must be married instantly. He looked and spoke with eagerness. His old impetuosity was rising. We must become one flesh without delay, Jane. There is but the license to get, and then we marry. Mr. Rochester, I've just discovered the sun is far declined from its meridian, and Pilot's actually gone home to his dinner. Let me look at your watch. Fasten it to your girdle, Janet, and keep it henceforth. I have no use for it. It's nearly 4 o'clock in the afternoon, sir. Don't you feel hungry? The third day from this must be our wedding day, Jane. Never mind fine clothes and jewels now. All that's not worth a fillip. The sun has dried up in the raindrops, sir. The breeze is still. It's quite hot. Do you know, Jane, I have your little pearl necklace at this moment fastened round my bronze scrag under my cravat. I've worn it since the day I lost my only treasure, as a memento of her. We will go home through the wood. That will be the shadiest way. He pursued his own thoughts without heeding me. Jane, you think me, I dare say, an irreligious dog, but my heart swells with gratitude to the beneficent God of this earth just now. He sees not as a man sees, but far clearer, judges not as man judges, but far more wisely. I did wrong. I would have sullied my innocent flower, breathed guilt on its purity. The Omnipotent snatched it from me. I, in my stiff-necked rebellion, almost cursed the dispensation. Instead of bending to the decree, I defied it. Defying justice pursued its course. Disasters came thick on me. I was forced to pass through the valley of the shadow of death. His chastisements are mighty, and one smote me which has humbled me forever. You know I was proud of my strength, but what is it now when I must give it over to foreign guidance, as a child does its weakness? Of late, Jane, only of late, I began to see and acknowledge the hand of God in my doom. I began to experience remorse, repentance, the wish for reconcilement to my Maker. I began sometimes to pray. Very brief prayers they were, but very sincere. Some days since, nay, I can number them. 4. It was last Monday night. A singular mood came over me, one in which grief replaced frenzy, sorrow, sullenness. I long had the impression that since I could nowhere find you, you must be dead. Late that night, perhaps it might be between 11 and 12 o'clock, ere I retired to my dreary rest, I supplicated God that, if it seemed good to him, I might soon be taken from this life, and admitted to that world to come, where there was still hope of rejoining Jane. I was in my own room, sitting by the window, which was open. It soothed me to feel the balmy night air. Though I could see no stars, and only by a vague, luminous haze knew the presence of a moon, I longed for thee. Janet, oh, I longed for thee both with soul and flesh. I'd asked of God at once, in anguish and humility, if I had not been long enough desolate, afflicted, tormented, and might not soon taste bliss and peace once more. That I merited all I endured, I acknowledged. That I could scarcely endure more, I pleaded, and the alpha and omega of my heart's wishes broke involuntarily from my lips in the words, Jane, Jane, Jane. Did you speak these words aloud? Oh, I did, Jane. If any listener had heard me, he would have thought me mad. I pronounced them with such frantic energy. And it was last Monday night, somewhere near midnight? Ah, yes, but the time is no consequence. What followed is a strange point. You will think me superstitious. Some superstition I have in my blood, and always had. Nevertheless, this is true. True at least, and it is that I heard I can now relate. As I exclaimed, Jane, 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 a voice, I cannot tell whence the voice came, but I know whose voice it was, replied, I'm coming. Wait for me. And a moment after went whispering on the winds the words, Where are you? I'll tell you, if I can, the idea. The picture these words opened to my mind, yet it is difficult to express what I want to express. Ferndeed is buried, as you see, in a heavy wood, where sound falls dull and dies unreverberating. Where are you seems spoken amidst mountains, for I heard a hill-sent echo repeat the words. Cooler and fresher at the moment the gales seemed to visit my brow. I could have deemed that in some wild, lone scene I and Jane were meeting. In spirit, I believe, we must have met, yet no doubt were at that hour in unconscious sleep, Jane. Perhaps your soul wandered from its cell to comfort mine, for those were your accents, as certain as I live, and they were yours. Reader, it was on Monday night, near midnight, that I too had received the mysterious summons. Those were the very words by which I replied to it. I listened to Mr. Rochester's narrative, but made no disclosure in return. The coincidence struck me as too awful and inexplicable to be communicated or discussed. If I told anything, my tale would be such as necessary, make a profound impression on the mind of the hearer, and that mind, yet from its sufferings too prone to gloom, needed not the deeper shade of the supernatural. I kept these things then, and pondered them in my heart. You cannot now wonder, continued my master, that when you rose upon me so unexpectedly last night, I had difficulty in believing you any other than a mere voice and vision, something that would melt to silence and annihilation, as the midnight whisper and mountain echo had melted before. Now I thank God I know it to be otherwise. Yes, I thank God. He put me off his knee, rose, and reverently lifting his hat from his brow, and bending his sightless eyes to the earth, he stood in mute devotion. Only the last words of the worship were audible. I thank my Maker that in the midst of judgment he's remembered mercy. I humbly entreat my Redeemer to give me strength to lead henceforth a purer life than I have done hitherto. Then he snatched his hand out to be led. Oh, he stretched his hand out to be led. I took that dear hand, held it a moment to my lips, and let it pass round my shoulder. Being so much lower of stature than he, I served both for his prop and guide. We entered the wood and wended homeward.